Can you turn the TV down a bit? Hey there. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I just needed to add audio.
Awesome.
Morning. How are you?
Morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well as well.
Awesome.
Well, too. There you go.
There you go.
I got my coffee going upstairs, so I'm gonna go grab that right now.
Sounds good. Good morning, Melanie.
Good morning.
Looks like we have a few people joining us.
Got yelled at on Monday for a lot of us not putting our video on. And
Just waiting for people to hop on here. So how many people are usually in Ignite sessions?
Been like 10, 11, 12.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll wait a few minutes here to let some more people join in.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm Trudi. I haven't met you.
I'm Nick.
Oh,
I just
Nick.
haven't fixed my Zoom thing. I set it up forever ago.
That's okay. It's my son's name, so I won't forget it.
Perfect. All right. Good name.
It is a good name. Hey, Brittany. Thanks for putting your video on. I appreciate it.
no problem.
I know everybody's at home. If I wasn't teaching this, I wouldn't have my makeup on and I'd be like in my whatever comfy clothes. So it's kind of one of those days to hunker down and stay inside.
Yeah, the weather doesn't make you want to go anywhere or do much.
No. I agree.
Whose birthday, Britt?
My oldest son turned 5 last week.
Awesome.
Week and a half ago. So balloons are still hanging around, but he had a superhero party. So
that's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep celebrating.
Yeah. Well, he had like 3 different little parties. He had a friend party, and then we had like a family party, and we celebrated like his actual birthday. So it's like a birthday week.
That's great.
He was pretty excited. I don't know why, but 5, I don't know. He was like super excited to turn 5.
I bet. Well, is he in school?
No, he's in preschool.
Okay.
Which I was kind of glad I didn't have to like make that choice to like put him in school or not, like into kindergarten. He didn't make the cut anyway with an October birthday, so I was cool with that.
Right. But there's something about that age that they become more aware of they've had 4 years of experience of, oh, this is what a birthday is.
Yeah.
First year doesn't really count. They don't really remember that, but
Yeah,
after
no,
that,
for sure. It definitely was more meaningful this year for some reason. But
yeah, that's really cool. Well, he probably has friends now. I mean, so
Yep.
that's
Yep.
sweet. We're just going to wait maybe 2 more minutes for other people to hop on. I see Tyler hopped on. Hey, Tyler. Chris, thanks for joining us from the beach, I see.
Yes, from the beach.
Yeah, so you're just making us all envious.
It's just so you can't see my dog destroying my house when we're on the meeting.
Yeah, so just fair warning, if you hear my dog barking, I apologize for that. It's the joys of being at home.
Yes.
Melanie, I don't think I've met you.
No, we haven't met yet.
Are you able to pop on?
I can, but you won't be able to see much. The way my room is set up,
That's okay.
I'll try here. There we go. It's really
Oh.
shadowy and dark.
No problem. That's perfect, actually. I think everybody will get more out of this if we can see each other's faces. I know when I join Zoom sessions, if I don't have my video on, all I'm doing is listening. So I would appreciate it if you'd all hop on. It'll just make it more interesting for everybody, and I think you'll get much more out of this. This is one of my favorite Ignite sessions to teach, and this is my 3rd time actually teaching it. So I have some very specific things that I intend to share with you. And before we get started, if we could all just do some introductions. I apologize. You probably all know each other, but I don't know you all. And so if you could just share your name, how long you've been licensed, how long you've been in our market center, KWPR, and what one of your favorite things about being a realtor thus far. So maybe not all of us are newbies, maybe some have been licensed for a while and this is a refresher course, and that's great too. So Nick, if we could start with you, and if you wouldn't mind just sharing those 3 things or 4 things.
Yeah, so I've been with for 51 days, so almost 2 months now.
Okay.
I'm out of the Rochester market, and what was the other things? My bad.
So Nick Cron, you've been licensed for a couple of months, you said?
Yep,
Okay.
almost 2 months now.
Okay. And when you got licensed, you joined our market center?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
I knew
awesome.
Jen Walsh, and then she hooked me up with Aaron.
Perfect.
So, but before that, I met Zach back when he was the leader down there. But I was
Awesome.
pretty happy with my gig. I was making plenty of money, and then COVID happened, so I rethought the process, and I went and met up with Zach. Wasn't there anymore. It was Aaron.
Yep.
So then I got into school right away, got it done, and here I am learning a new thing. So
Cool. Well,
yeah.
it's fun, right? I mean, learning
Yeah,
new stuff, a little challenging probably as well.
Been a lot of chaos because it's like drinking from a fire hose, but now that I'm learning the systems and knowing the processes and doing the classes and really like applying to it or engaging with it, it's getting a little bit more systematic and put together. So it's been good. Yes, it's relieving. So it's making sense.
Good deal. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. For sure.
Chris, how about you?
Yeah, sure. So I've been licensed maybe just a week or 2 less than Nick has. So a month and a half, a little more than a month and a half. Came from, excuse me, the insurance industry. So I was an insurance agent for employee benefits for about 15 years.
Okay.
And then most recently, I was actually commuting to the Twin Cities to an agency. And like Nick, COVID happened and they restructured and downsized, and my position got eliminated. So I was high school friends with Q here in Rochester.
Awesome.
And I had reached out to him just knowing that he knows a ton of people in town. Just say, hey, would you know if there's any jobs available? He's like, well, actually, I'm expanding my team. So here I am.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
yeah, my favorite thing about real estate so far, I love showing houses to people.
Awesome.
My favorite thing.
You're going to really enjoy this session then, Chris, because
Definitely.
that's what we're going to be talking about.
Perfect.
So, awesome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Brittany, how about you?
Hey, I'm Brittany Gross. Been licensed for coming up on 2 months now. I think it was the very end of August.
Okay.
And I joined with Geller right away. Let's see, I live in Blooming Prairie, and I'm out of the Austin office in the Austin market.
Cool. Favorite thing so far?
I think my favorite thing so far is honestly, like, I don't know, this Ignite stuff, all the training and stuff that we've been doing. I've really been enjoying expanding.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting for sure. My husband and I have done, we own rentals and we've done some flipping and stuff. So it's been awesome to get my license and kind of see the other end of it. His dad is a realtor, so he's kind of always been doing all that stuff for us. So it's kind of cool to be on the other side now.
Right. So Brittany, you're going to realize that now that you have your real estate license, you have a special status that you may not even be aware of. Now that you are investing, you've been investing prior to getting your real estate license.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you have your real estate license, you have a specific status. It's a rep, real estate professional status. You need to ask your accountant about that because you have specific tax benefits.
Okay.
As you hold your real estate license. Just something
is that only if you're full time though? Because someone else is telling me about that. Because I have rentals too, and they're like, if you're full time with real estate, because I have 2 jobs right now, then you get certain benefits. But if you're doing 2 different jobs, you don't get them.
Yep, great question. And I think that you have to prove that real estate is your primary.
I see. Okay.
So it's not that you can't do something else. It's just that you have to be able to prove that you're really doing this. This isn't just, a hobby.
Tax benefits.
That you're making money, you're putting the hours in. So, ask your accountant about what the specifics of that are. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So Melanie, how about you, if you don't mind sharing?
I've been in real estate for almost 4 months now, I think. I joined Keller Williams, I think it was like right at the very end of June. So I got licensed at the beginning of July. Just trying to learn as much as I can. I did Mega Camp and now Ignite. I'll do both next time it comes up. Just trying to figure it all out before I have to dive in too deep. Doing a lot of open houses and stuff to try and see more properties, trying to go out and view houses when I have the time. I think that's the most interesting part. It's fun to take the classes and hear what everybody has to say about the do's and don'ts of listings and things like that. And then to go to the properties and be like, somebody didn't, tell these people this or do this properly, or, so it's interesting to see, all the different companies that are out there. I go and look at some houses and I'm like, this is a company I've never even heard of. Like, where did they come from? So that's kind of what I find interesting, I guess.
Yeah. Awesome. So we're going to do quite a bit of hands-on today. I think that that's going to be the most helpful thing to you during this session is I will share some things that I've learned. I've been licensed since 2004. I started a team 4 years ago. So I've learned a lot and I'm willing to share it with you. So hopefully you'll be able to glean from that and feel free to ask questions along the way as well. So thanks for sharing that, Melanie.
Yeah.
Jenny, how about you? If you don't mind hopping on here so we can see you.
Sure. I had to run in. Sorry, I'm popping in late.
That's okay. No problem. Glad you're here.
So
we're just sharing. You could just share your name. I don't know you, Jenny, so I'm Trudi. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank
And if you could share how long you've been licensed with our KWPR Market Center, and what's your favorite thing about real estate so far?
I think my favorite thing is getting to know my team here in Winona. They're just so they're so kind and willing to share. I've been in real estate for just over a year now, and I'm constantly learning. I think this yesterday or Wednesday's class was so wonderful.
Awesome.
If you weren't there, make sure you go listen to it, because I actually even brought it back to my team meeting, and I said, she showed me so many different things on North Star that
Awesome.
I've known as far as little things that are available to us. And so I found that was very helpful. What my favorite thing is, you know what, I would just love to just do first home owner things and thing. I really enjoy working with
first time home buyers.
The excitement, although right now, if I could get rid of some of the texts and the calls that I've been getting nonstop, that would be nice. But I gotta remember to put my parameters around. So just enjoying myself.
Awesome.
10 years ago, and someone was commenting about rental properties. I definitely would have, if I was younger, I would have gotten into flipping homes or buying into rental properties. But that would have had to been 10 plus years ago. I'm old now, very old. So with that, I'll let you go.
Yeah, but you know what? There's no age limit on being a realtor. So my husband is a retired air traffic controller, and at age 56, they made him retire, and he wasn't necessarily ready to. So hey, we're in the right business. We can keep doing this as long as we're able. So
Karen Littlejohn in my office she just turned 81.
Wow, I didn't realize she was that age. That's awesome.
Yeah, and she's just like, hey, I'm just redoing my website. I'm like, at 81?
We never stop learning in this business, never. So great. Welcome. Glad you joined us, Jenny.
Thanks.
Tyler, if you wouldn't mind hopping on here and just introducing yourself.
Hi, so I don't have a camera, unfortunately.
Okay, that's
I'm still
all right.
working on getting one, but I'm
Sounds
here, and I got my license on August 6th. So I've been doing this for just a little bit over 2 months now.
Yeah.
And it's been going pretty well for me, actually. I have a listing already, and I am working on a purchase agreement with a buyer client of mine. So I'm making some pretty good progress, and it's been fun to be able to help my buyer go and see the houses. And I think that's kind of the most fun thing, is just to go out and see the different properties that are out there.
Yeah.
And just to help them find their next place.
It is. It's really exciting. I always say that an expression is worth 1,000 words. So you'll learn the more buyers you work with, you'll be able to read them really well. You'll know when you walk into the house that is the right house for them. You'll see it on their face, their body language changes, what the things that they're talking about and saying changes. They start asking deeper questions, and that's the exciting part. So great. We're just going to dig right into this then. Some expectations for today, what we're going to learn. Have you all been reporting out your 10-4s and using your trackers? So I know that that's probably not the most fun part of taking Ignite. However, it's going to end up being the most valuable piece and the most valuable part of your time is recording what you're doing and tracking your progress, because you know, it's kind of like when you're on a health kick, or you know, you have a goal of, I want to be able to work out this many minutes, I want to lose this many pounds. If you don't know where you begin, you can't measure your successes, because you didn't begin by recording your weight, or how long you were working out in the beginning, or what your measurements were at the beginning of it. So by tracking your numbers, it's just going to be so encouraging to you to know that you put in the work and now these are the results. So if you haven't done that, I encourage you to do that. So our expectations for the day, I'm just going to dig out my notes here. Just bear with me for a minute. So our session today is on finding and selling homes. So this is about working with buyers. I heard a lot of you say that that's one of the favorite things, looking at homes, helping our buyers find the right one. It's really deeper than that, in my opinion. So yeah, going into homes is really exciting. It's really fun. It helps us to know what the market is, right? It is an education for us. But at the end of the day, what our main goal is to find a home for the buyers that we're working with, and to not leave them homeless. And what I mean by that is they are probably living somewhere, right? They're either living with a friend, they're living with family, they're renting, maybe they have a house to sell. But the whole idea is, in this process, is to find them a home, and for this process to go well, so that we don't leave them homeless, because they're either giving notice if they're renting, they're packing and moving out of wherever they're living, if it's with family or a friend or a rental or their home. If they're selling a home, they will have to have a buyer, most likely. So it means they're going to have to move out of the house that they're living in. So we have to find them a place to live. And as professionals, we have to make sure that we're guiding them through the process in the correct way, so that they're not left homeless. There are a lot of pieces that are in motion during that time. So it can be a lot of pressure. It can be a lot of fun and very enjoyable too. So just kind of a recap. Tell me, you guys, you know, some of the things that you learned from your last session. So here we are, you've got your buyers, right? How did you get your buyers? What did you learn from the session 7? Just one or two ahas, if just pipe in here.
How to get buyers. I mean, note cards are definitely a thing that makes sense to me. But when I started doing note cards, I went down to the post office, and they can only be so heavy, because I was putting magnets and like hand sanitizer in them, the liquid, and they can only be so like thick.
Yeah.
So I had to like change up my whole thing on it, and then do it like door to door, put like little maybe cups out or something like that. I don't know, but
okay.
I had to switch it up. So I'm learning things you can and cannot do when it
right.
comes to note cards. So that was an aha for me.
That's great. Having an idea and then logistically following through with it, you may have ended up in a different place than you thought you would from when you started. And that's okay.
Yep.
That's
I'm just going to switch it up a little bit and figure it out. So
cool. Well, thanks for sharing that, Nick. Anybody else? What were some of your ahas from session 7? How did you get your buyers?
The importance of a buyer presentation.
Very good. Awesome. So did you go into depth with your buyer presentations in session 7?
She really, I mean, she really went through, like, she showed us hers step by step and almost treated us like we were the client and kind of explained it step by step. So she did like a fabulous job of going through that. So that was really helpful. And then she was able to like send it to all of us if we needed it, so that we had a kind of a reference to start with to create our own if we don't have them yet. So yeah, she did a really good job with that.
Perfect. because that is where you begin. And so that is the one thing, and she probably shared that, that will set you apart from other agents who represent buyers. So when you're at an open house, a great question is, has anybody gone through the buying process with you? Most of the time, the answer is no. Like, what do you mean by that? So great. Now it's a way to help you stand out from other agents to say, I have a lot to share with you. What's a good day for you? And set the appointment. That's the goal, set the appointment. Videos. What is the one way Gary Keller says it takes to achieve success in real estate? Anybody have an answer to that?
Lead gen.
It could be. Yep, that's one way. Absolutely. So I think the key to this is this is a saying that Gary Keller has. It's success is about doing the right things. It's not doing everything right. So Nick, just as you talked about your idea, you had this great idea. You were going to send note cards, you were going to send hand sanitizer. You're doing it. Did it end up being the right way? Well, I don't know. Hopefully that it ended up being the right thing. Lead gen, let's just talk about that, Chris. I think all of us have our various ways of our favorite way to do lead gen. Some of us, it isn't cold calling, some of us, maybe it is, or door knocking. But do we have to be perfect at the things that we do? No, it's just doing them. It's setting it into motion. Which leads to the next question. What are some of the habits of high performing agents? Just name a few in your mind from the things that you've learned so far. What are some of the great habits that you are now putting into your lives as new or newer licensed real estate agents?
I think they're really good at just retouching base with everyone that they've worked with to get the referrals coming in. They're not forgetting who they are. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing.
Making calls.
Business. Yes. Calls, thank you cards, drip campaigns, note cards, all that.
Yeah, like staying top of mind.
Yes.
Exactly. Correct. Anybody else? Some habits of high performing agents. We have lead gen, staying in touch, calls, writing thank you cards.
Following up with your leads.
Following up with leads, that is awesome, because we can have 30 leads coming in from whatever, from our website, from maybe a Facebook post that we boosted. If we don't follow up with them, all they are is names and phone numbers. So great answer. Anybody else? I think the key here is the word habits. So, you know, we have habits in our lives every single day. Habits like brushing our teeth, habits like getting dressed for the day, habits like when we get into our car, if we're in a garage, open the garage door. Those are things that we do automatically that we really don't even think about. So I brushed my teeth this morning. Do I actually remember doing it? I don't. It was just one of those things that became automatic. I think that's the key, is setting things in our lives that we do so automatically that it just is part of our everyday. So what, maybe a great thing to do would just be making a list of those things, of those habits that are going to be easy for you to just make part of your everyday, that are just habits. And they're just going to be helping your phone ring and messages in your inbox from people who want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Follow the models. So how many of you have read the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, Gary Keller's book, or have it, or have opened the front cover?
I have it, and I started the first chapter.
Awesome. Tyler. That's a great place to start. Anybody else?
I've read about half of it.
I have the book.
Perfect. So
Yep, I'm about halfway there too. So
good.
I try to do
Awesome.
like 20 to 50 pages a day to kind of chip away
Some
at
of
it.
it you feel like you're kind of trudging through, but once you get through the book, it's gonna be an aha for you. Oh, okay, now I get it. I don't have to recreate the wheel. The wheel's been invented. All I have to do is hop on. Just start doing it. Those are the models. And you will see results. Anybody dipping their toe into technology, command, going into your MyKW and searching around and setting up your website. Any ahas there for you?
Yeah, this was it 66-day challenge was pretty good. I think I'm still watching it. Is that what it's called? I forget now. I haven't watched it in
Yeah,
a week,
it is.
but there was
That's one of them.
Right. So then that kind of helps play around with the systems and get them all set up. So that's been pretty helpful doing that.
Cool. Awesome. The better you get to know command, the easier it will be for you to manage your business, I would say, to manage your clients, to manage your pipeline. Even if you haven't gone into command necessarily to do a transaction or to design anything, if you just go into command and get your database there. So that is the key. That is the lifeline of command, is your database, your contacts. As many contacts as you can get into command, the better off you're going to be in the long run. And it's just about growing your contacts, growing your database. Gary calls it our data bank, and he calls it that for a reason, because that is going to be the lifeline of our business. So it's like the blood going through command, keeping it alive. And so the way that we grow our database and our contacts is putting all of those leads in, putting all of our opportunities in there. So, and I know that Lisa has been holding classes on command. Reach out to her if you have any questions. She's an expert at command. My assistant Kimry in the Rochester office, she's been with me a little over a year. She knows command better than anybody that I'm aware of. So she's designed ads for me. So whenever you get to a certain point, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to Kimry. We're happy to help you. All right, our daily 10-4. So how many have had success with 10 new contacts, 10 people in your database, 10 notes, previewing 10 homes? Just tell me about your experience. Are you finding that it's easy for you to do all of these? Are there some that are easier for you than others? Tell me about that. How's it going for you?
For me, I would say the easiest out of the two would be the 10 new contacts and then going to open houses, but adding the 10 people to my database and sending out the notes is the hardest for me to do.
Yeah. So I would say if there's one or two or three on this list that are a little more challenging for you, just do 5. I don't know if any of you listened to Bruce Beckley yesterday. He was on our Zoom, our market center team meeting, and he was talking about how every day he writes 5 notes to people. It's not 10, he does 5. And he gets leads. He doubled his business this past year by doing that. So if 10 is great. I mean, it's great to have a goal, but if you're struggling with 10, do 5. It's not doing everything perfectly, right? It's just doing the right things. So anybody else want to share your successes, your challenges with your 10-4?
I like the note card portion of it because when I'm looking up people's addresses on White Pages Premium, then I go back to command and then I update them there, so then I don't have to do that anymore. And then I am tagging all the customers as note cards, so I know that I've already sent them note cards. And then that helps me send out like Christmas cards or different cards down the road, that I don't send another like, hey, here's a free home evaluation card, or here in real estate card. So I can kind of separate them all and I know who to send note cards to and what content to put in them. And then just kind of organizing it that way.
Wow, Nick, that's really great because not everybody takes the time to handwrite notes anymore. So it sounds like you enjoy doing that.
Yeah, no, I really like reaching out to these people that I haven't talked to in a long time, just because I've been I have a pretty big database lined up from doing Verizon for so long. So it's cool to like talk to people and tell them I've switched careers and everything like that. And then taking the time to like actually handwrite them after I've talked to them on the phone or on Facebook, because I didn't have Facebook before. So now I'm like reaching out to everybody. And yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a lot.
Great strategy. You will be very thankful down the road that you're tagging them the way that you're tagging them.
I need to be organized. I can't, I mean, it's too much chaos in my head right now to like be
You're drinking from the fire hose and you're putting things in bottles.
Yeah, see, there you go. All right,
So
put them on the shelf, put little labels on them. Yeah, good.
Cool. Thank you for sharing all of that, you guys. Okay, page 8. Do you all have your guide, your study guide in front of you? Your materials?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I do as well. So I'm used to teaching this in the training room. So forgive me if I'm looking away from the camera and I'm looking at my notes. So we're going to do our call sessions now. Hopefully you all have your lists of people that you want to call. Chris, you probably are going to be working on your handwritten notes. And so we're going to take 20 minutes. If I'm going to be muted, I'm going to be making some phone calls as well. So let's see, what time is it? It's 9:35. So at 9:55, if you could all join back in, and then we'll continue on. So for 20 minutes, use this time well, maybe write some notes, make some phone calls, and I'll see you all back here at 9:55. Okay, everybody, if you want to come back on and we can talk about some successes that you all had. Welcome back, Chris. Brittany, thanks for coming back on. So 20 minutes isn't a whole lot of time. However, it's long enough to make a couple of calls, connect with people. Tell me some of your successes. Any of you able to reach out to somebody, make a new connection or reconnect? How did your 20 minutes go?
I redid all the note cards that didn't fit in the regulations of the post office. So I had to like open each one slightly and then take out the hand sanitizer and stuff that didn't fit in there, only put one packet in there, and then tape it with some scotch tape. So
okay, so you use your time to get more organized.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Yeah.
So that you can keep that train going down the road.
Yep. Get the motivation going. Motivation.
That's right. Anybody else? Anybody have any interesting conversations? If not, we're just going to move on here. So if you turn to page, well, I should ask you all. So are any of you using the scripts that are provided and supplied for you in Ignite? And if you are, have you had any success with them? There are some that are really very helpful. I think one of the challenges is with Ignite, with Bold, when we're making our contacts, is once we get through our sphere of influence, our SOI, the people that we know, we feel like we run out of calls. We run out of people to contact. So the scripts on page 9 of this session are actually really great scripts to use with having conversations with people that we may not necessarily consider our sphere of interest, or people that we know, or our acquaintances or friends, but we know a lot of people who are in business. Maybe you have a favorite restaurant, or I'm just thinking of my husband. He changes the oil in our vehicles, and he does a lot of work in our cars. And so he goes to the auto places, I can't even, AutoZone. There's one near our house quite often, you know, and he wouldn't consider those people necessarily friends or acquaintances, but they're business owners and they recognize him. And so, you know, just having conversations of, hey, I'm putting together a list of preferred businesses and services. Would you be interested in being on my list? Most people are not going to say no. Most business people want to partner with other business people, right? So this is a great script to use. There are a couple of them on page 9. When you are in the habit of making your calls and you feel like you've run out of people to call, I think this is a great tool. These are some great scripts to use. Just a great story along those lines. I had an agent on my team. He no longer is on my team. When he was, though, he made it a habit to, in the afternoon from 1 to 3, to just pop in to other businesses, hand out his business card, and get business cards from other people. There are other people who are doing that as well. So one of my preferred vendors right now, one of the photographers that I use all the time, did that to me. Just came to our office. I happened to be at the front desk, and he introduced himself and he said, hey, we're starting this new business, and here's our card. You know, we would love to partner with you, take pictures of listings and homes that you have on the market. And that was the beginning of a really great friendship and relationship. Now they become experts in drone videos, drone stills, and we're business partners. So you never know where that will lead when you walk into a business and hand out your business card or ask for theirs. So just a little tip there. So finding homes. If you turn to page 11, the journey. So these are some NAR statistics. They're taken from 2014, so they're about 6 years old. However, I think that even though the numbers may be a little off, I think that this is worth having some discussions about, just to help us get into the heads of buyers. So the typical home buyer searched for 10 weeks and viewed 10 homes. In 2014, 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process. 50% of buyers use a mobile website or application in their home search. 98% of buyers who used an agent viewed real estate agents as a useful information source. More than 50% of buyers reported finding the right home was the most difficult step in the home buying process. 24% of recent home buyers reported the primary reason for the recent home purchase was a desire to own a home. 9% purchased a new home due to a job-related relocation or move, and 8% bought for the desire to be in a better area or change in family situation. Do any of those surprise you or stand out to you that just kind of made you go, What are your thoughts on that?
Only 9% because of job-related relocation. I think in Rochester it should be higher if that's just a nationwide statistic, just because we have mail and a lot of nurses and doctors are signing on just be resident or moving for mail.
Yep, I would agree with you there. For Rochester, I think we're unique in that we have a seasonal turnover every 4 years due to residents coming here.
Even Austin, I think, is a little bit higher than that just because of Hormel and you got QPP too. So I don't know if those are more buyers or renters though, but I mean, it's still should be a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like Austin has a lot higher of a turnover rate with Hormel management, having corporate and the plant.
Yep, they have the big corporate office they just built there too.
Yeah, my husband actually is management at Hormel, so I kind of see that.
Yeah.
Firsthand, people are always coming in and out, and they kind of people all around.
So
your husband should just hand out business cards to people there that are just starting.
Right.
You know, he actually, he was working as a lead supervisor in the plant, and now he's actually working from home. He got a promotion to corporate, but corporate's working from home now. But it'll still be good, I think, because his position now is like he is a point of contact for all of the new plant management hires, responsible for coordinating their training and stuff. So I think it'll still be good.
For sure. I'll be like, oh yeah, if you're looking to buy a place too, we can definitely help you out with that when you get settled in.
Yeah, for sure. So I think he's in a little bit different of a position, so he can't really hand out cards and stuff anymore. But I think it'll still be good.
Yeah.
It's about relationships anyway. I mean, we really are in the relationship business. So just knowing those people, it comes up in conversation.
Yes, for sure.
And anything else stand out to you? What about the 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process?
It makes sense. No one wants to get out of bed or off their couch to go do anything when you got the internet, so.
Yeah, and I actually think that number is probably higher. I really do. I would say, gosh, lately 100% of my buyers, that's where they're searching. So when we're talking to buyers and they've probably already been looking online, right? So what is our conversation with them about that?
Have you seen any homes that you like? And then you can kind of get like the criteria of what they're looking for. Or they usually do all the, like, what I've been learning, they usually do the research for you. They already find their homes. They just want to look at them. So
True. Yep, I agree.
make sure it's a good purchase and everything.
Yeah. So then how do we add value to them? So then
We're
why don't they just go to the listing agent? You know, they've done their research. Have they
'Cause
really
they-
done their research though? That's the question.
Because they know, like, and trust us.
What did you say?
Because
Nick?
they know, like, and trust us
So
to be experts, and they're comfortable talking to us. We have a relationship.
and how have we built that relationship with them?
Through communication,
Yeah. And
lead
what's
gen,
the-
note cards,
I
conversations.
love those note cards. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's just say
Facebook.
that- yep. Let's just say though, not all of my friends, I mean, have come to me to help them buy a home. And I've helped many people who are not necessarily my friends. They don't know that they can trust me until they've gotten in the boat with me. They started the process with me. So it starts with the buying process, right? Going through the buying process with them. So in my buying process, I talk about two different ways to look at homes. One is viewing, one is searching for homes, and the other is viewing homes. So what this statement, 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process. They're not viewing. So searching and viewing are two different things. When we're sitting down with them, it's important for us to differentiate the difference between the two. Because could a buyer in their search figure out who the listing agent is and go and talk to them and buy the house? Yeah, absolutely. They could, but they've chosen to have a meeting and a discussion with us. I think the value, we bring a lot of value. One of the ways and value that we bring to them just in this whole internet search process is that the sites that they're searching on are most likely national websites. It's the Trulia, it's the Zillow, it's the Realtor.com, it's the Redfin, right? Is all of that information accurate on those national websites? The answer is no. It's a big no. So what they're missing out on when there's nothing wrong with them searching on those sites. However, by choosing us to represent them, we can give them the backstage pass, so to speak, because where are all of those national websites getting their information and putting on their websites?
Yeah.
Houses.
From agents or MLS or?
So that, yes, they're, and many of those sites are getting their information from public information, right?
Right.
Is all public information correct? No, it is not always correct. That's why Zillow, when they give their estimates and they're incorrect, it's because the public information that they're gleaning is inaccurate. For instance, most of them are going to county websites, right? Unless they're getting information from a true listing that's in an MLS, okay? County websites don't always have accurate information, because what if a homeowner finishes their basement and now instead of 2 bedrooms and 1 bath, they have 4 bedrooms and 2 baths? Well, Zillow doesn't know that. Nobody from Zillow is walking through that house, but we know, we've been in that house. So we have the most accurate information, and we're giving that information when we list our homes to our MLS services, right? So, and when Zillow and those other national sites are grabbing information from MLSs, they're using a third party. So what happens when you use a third party? Information gets misconstrued. For instance, if I'm not all that techie, And you don't have to be to understand the concept that when you have a third party involved from one website to another, and you're matching field for field, what if that field is named something else on the site that you're grabbing it from? So now all of a sudden a full bath becomes just a bath. But oh, by the way, it's a half bath. It's not a full bath. Or it's a full bath, not a half bath. So that's where the information crosses over incorrectly. My point is, when buyers work with us, we set them up in a portal where they're getting true and accurate information directly from our MLS. There's no third party involved. They get to see the exact same information we do, except for the confidential information. But the public information is accurate as humans are who are entering that information into the system. There's always that, right? But that's the value that we bring to them, is that they're getting true MLS information. And that's huge. The other part of that is the national websites do not show when a property goes from active to contingent on inspection or sale of property. It could be active, but it's not available to look at because it's under contract. If our buyers are just looking at realtor.com, they don't know that. But when we set them up in a portal, they're going to know it. They're going to see that listing. They're going to click on it. And oh, right at the very top in highlights, it's going to say contingent on inspection. They're probably not going to want to look at it. It's under contract. And it probably isn't even available to look at. The sellers don't want people in their homes anymore. They have accepted an offer. So does all of that make sense to you? Does it give you a little better idea? Does it kind of help you to differentiate the difference between the MLS information we see and the information that's online that most of the public is looking at? It doesn't mean that it isn't helpful. As a matter of fact, I go to those sites. If I go on a listing appointment, I want to know what Zillow is saying their Zestimate is on that house, because most likely the sellers are also looking at what the Zestimate is. So I can help them understand whether it's accurate or it's inaccurate information and why it might be inaccurate. So just hopefully that's helpful to you. Let's see. So this is a great statistic. 98% of buyers who used an agent viewed real estate agents as a useful information source. So I think that plays into just what we talked about. What value are we bringing? We're explaining to them what the difference is between looking on the MLS and looking on a national search website. This is really, really interesting. And I think it's really important for us to understand when we're representing buyers. More than 50% of buyers reported finding the right home was the most difficult step in the home buying process. So our job is to help them narrow that down and help them make the right decision without having buyer's remorse. I mean, that is one of my, if I were to be afraid of something in helping a buyer find a home, is that they would have buyer's remorse. That we went through this whole long process, we wrote an offer, it got accepted, we closed, and now they have buyer's remorse. So there are steps and there are things that a process that we can take them through so that they don't have buyer's remorse, or that it's so low that they're just, the fact that they have a home overshadows any of those doubts or any of that remorse. And that's one of the things we're going to really spend a lot of time on today, is searching and viewing homes, going through that process with our buyers, and for them not to have buyer's remorse. Any questions or comments on that before we move on?
Good.
What was that, Nick?
Sounds good. No
right.
questions.
All right, I'm looking at page 13 here, where it talks about setting up a portal. they call it a BIN, a buyer instant notification, down at the bottom on number 1. We call it a portal. So when we're actually going to go through that process today. I'm going to share my screen. If none of you have had that opportunity to work with a buyer and set them up on a search portal, we're going to do that and how we narrow down homes. But the portal is the first place that we start. We as realtors should be in MLS. We should be in North Star every single day. We should have ourselves set up so that we have hot sheets. Do you all know what a hot sheet is? Yeah, great. What's new on the market, and you can set those parameters. I have a few hot sheets. I have a few different real estate markets that I'm watching. So I have a few hot sheets, Rochester being the most important because this is where I live. I have some up in northern Minnesota, some in surrounding areas, the county, Olmsted County. But we should be checking our hot sheets. We should be looking at MLS every single day because these are houses that our buyers could potentially be buying. What are some other places that we should be looking every day as it relates to homes, houses?
Zillow?
What did you say, Nick?
Zillow?
Well, Zillow, yeah. I mean, Zillow, yes. But what are the for sale by owners?
Oh, yeah. FSBOs.
You know, if we're representing buyers and our inventory is super low, right? We don't have a lot of homes to choose from. In a balanced market, where we should be for inventory is 5 to 6 months of inventory is what a healthy market would look like. We have less than 2 months of inventory. I don't know if you realize how significant that is, but it impacts the buyers that we're representing because we're running out of homes to look at. You know, our buyers are sitting there, you know, opening their inboxes to see, is there anything new, you know, going to their portals, what's new on the market, what haven't we seen? They're just waiting. They can't wait to find that right house. And so they're watching every single day what's new. Well, how we can bring value to them. What if we're looking at for sale by owner websites? And oh, by the way, here's a house that is exactly, it looks like online, exactly what my buyer's looking for. And it's a for sale by owner. So then what do we do? And that's not a rhetorical question. What do you do if you're on truly a for sale by owner, realtor.com for sale by owner, and here it is, here's the house. What's your next move? If you have a buyer who wants the house that you just found on a for sale by owner website.
Calling the owners.
Yeah. And what do you say?
I got clients interested in your property. Can we set up a showing?
Yeah. Are you interested in working with a realtor? I represent a buyer. And hopefully the answer is yes. And then what's your next step?
Does 12 o'clock on Tuesday work for you?
Set the appointment. Perfect. What's the next step?
Sure, the sale by owner people are out of the house for the showing.
Okay, that would be a good thing. So inform them, right? Educate them, let them know. Then what?
And I don't know if they like to make an offer on the house.
Okay, but before that, before you get there, what do you want to make sure that you have in place?
The one-time buyer rep agreement.
Yeah, buyer agreement.
First time showing agreement. So your buyers are already under contract, right? Because you went through the buyer process with them.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Relationship. They signed a buyer contract, but to show that, you need a one-time showing agreement and agency relationship with the homeowner, with the for sale by owner homeowner. Make sure you have those two things in place. Any questions about that? Because what is that doing for you?
Make sure you get paid.
And make sure you get paid. Exactly. And by having them sign agency relationship, it protects you from them suing you for not disclosing agency relationship. So two very important things. So just
Bring
ways
that
that
to
we can
this-
bring value.
So you bring that to the seller.
You do, yep. Because on that one-time showing agreement, it outlines commission. So does it mean necessarily that they have to share commission with you out of the sale price that they currently are advertising their for sale by owner home?
No.
So how would you frame that so that you get paid?
Well, you just put what, 3%, then you can negotiate it with the purchase agreement, right?
You could in price.
Right.
And does it have to be 3%?
No, it can be whatever.
Could be whatever. And what's another question? Do you want me to represent you? So then maybe it's 5 or 6%. And now you have them under contract and you have your buyers under contract. And now what? Now you're getting paid 4, 5, 6%. So it's an important question that some agents overlook asking. Sometimes it's just asking the question, do you want me to represent you as well? Well, I guess I haven't thought about it. What does that look like? Well, now you can have that whole conversation with the sellers. So on the bottom of page 13, talking about the portal, or they're calling it a buyer instant notification. You know, you want to be looking at what they're looking at, right? So make sure that you set that up so that you get copied, so that every time they get an email, you get an email as well. So you know what they're seeing, because you know if they get an email, they click on their portal, all of a sudden there's a new listing or a price reduction that puts a home into their price range that maybe wasn't before, and they call you and say, hey, did you see? And you're like, what do you mean? No, I didn't. We're the experts, right? So we should be the first ones to know. Actually, it'd be great if we're calling them to say, hey, I just got notification that, or I just looked what came new on the market, and did you see this great 2-story on Main Street that looks like it could be the house for you? Let's go see it. When are you available? So we should be more proactive than waiting for them to contact us all the time. We should be doing our work to find that right home for them. All right. And checking in. So sometimes buyers are really excited in the beginning about finding a home, and they know exactly what they want. You take them out, look at a few homes, and then you don't hear from them. And there are homes that are coming on the market. You know, you're getting notifications. You know that they're getting sent home new listings, status changes, but they're not calling you. What would be a great thing to do at that point? Maybe a day or two has gone by. What should you do?
Reach out to them and ask them if they were interested in anything they've been seeing, I guess.
Exactly. Set a little fire, because maybe they were disappointed that you took them out for a couple of times, looked at a few homes, they didn't find what they wanted, and maybe they thought they would. You know, maybe they thought that they'd find the house, you know, within the first 5 houses you looked at, and they didn't. And now they're a little disappointed. They need to hear from us, right? To say, hey, you know, there are new houses that are coming on the market every single day. Is that true? Are there new houses coming on the market every single day?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to wake up and log into North Star MLS and there's going to be 0 houses. There's never going to be 0. There are always houses. There are always properties coming on the market. And are there always new properties? Absolutely. Maybe not new properties exactly in their price range, but there are new homes coming on the market all the time. And sometimes what happens when new houses come on the market, it makes other houses make a change in status. For instance, what if a house has been overpriced all summer long, and now here we are in the fall, and their neighbor, 2 houses down, house almost identical to theirs, comes on the market and it's $10,000 less. And they've been on the market all summer long. What do you think that's going to make them do? Probably do a price reduction, right? And maybe that house wasn't in their price range before, but because that other house came on the market, these sellers made a price reduction. Now they have 2 houses to choose from. Now they have the one that did the price reduction and the new listing to look at. So I think it's really important for us to check in and to be watching, because we're the ones who notice things like that happening. The general public doesn't even know to look for things like that. That's our responsibility. Here's a great script. So if we're maybe touching base with them again, realigning their expectations, the script on page 14. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, when we do find the right home, we'll need to act quickly. And I know you're going to have the feeling of, well, is there something better out there? But I have to tell you, the best homes sell right away because they are the best homes. Do you want to see all of the homes, or do you want to find the right one quickly? So first of all, do you believe that as a real estate agent, that the best homes sell right away? Do you truly believe that? Yes. The answer is yes. The best homes sell really quickly. And you are not lying. You are not exaggerating. It is absolute truth. The best homes sell fast. So, this is about setting the expectation. Do you think that buyers always have to see 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 homes in order to pick the best one? What do you think? What's a good number of houses for a buyer to look at before they make a decision and they find the right house? Just
and done.
What did you say?
One and done.
One and done. Anybody else?
Yeah.
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Anybody else? What's a good number? Because they might ask you that. Your buyers might say, so how many houses do you think we're going to look at before we find the right one? Chris, what do you think?
Many as it takes.
Yeah, right. As many as it takes. I mean, the first one could be the one, but the 5th one could be the one. It just all depends on what they're feeling.
Okay. So what if we say to them, this very question? So do you want to see all the homes, or do you want to find the right one quickly? What do you hope they say?
The right one quickly.
Yeah, the right one quickly.
When you're looking at the other homes, that one could just go under contract and then they don't get the one they want.
Yeah. So we work with a variety of buyers in a variety of situations, right? So I'm working with some buyers right now who they don't really have a time frame, and that's okay. If you don't really have a time frame, then the question is, however, if we find the right home, are you ready to write an offer? Hopefully that answer is yes. It could be no, because they have a house to sell and they need an offer on their house. But still, the question is, if we find the right one, hopefully the answer is yes. So what if you walk into the very first house and you see the couple, they're looking at each other like, they're talking about, oh, our furniture would work really well here. I can see entertaining our friends here. And you see them looking at each other like, and shaking their head like, wow, we really like this house. And you say, so what do you think? And they say, I think we want to write an offer. What do you personally think about that? Do you think that they should look at more houses, or do you think that this is the right one?
I think they should write the offer.
And
if they're happy with it and you're not like persuading them, be like, you sure you
Yeah.
can't see the, as long as you're not being a salesman in the house and they're
Yep.
having the conversation amongst themselves, then I would definitely put it off. Yes.
So what question do you think is looming though in the back of their mind?
Is there going to be something better?
Yeah, exactly. So rather than maybe they're saying it, but maybe they aren't. And if they aren't, maybe you say it. So
There's always something better though. So as long as this is
there could be always some, yeah.
the
But
market that the way it is, I think we should definitely put an offer in the house.
yeah, because here's a really great question. If it isn't this house, what would make this house better? What is it about this house that we could look for or find in another house? That's the question, right? Because if they really like it and it's not that one, well, okay, what are we looking for then? I mean, that's a very valid question, and it's a question we should be asking them and they should be asking themselves. And then listen. And what if they say things like, well, we want a bigger yard. We want a different neighborhood, okay? Because we're the experts, we know that to get a bigger yard, to be in a different neighborhood, they're going to have to do what?
Pay more.
Pay more, right? It's going to be out of their price range. So within their price range, what would they find? That's truly the question. In your price range, what could we find that would make this house better or that this house doesn't have, right? Those are the important questions. Any comments on that? So we're just going to keep going then. On page 14, you know your buyers will be searching online. So when they call you and are excited because they found the one, remind them that you still need to qualify the home before you jump in the car to show it, right? What does that statement mean? You have to qualify the home. So they call you up. Maybe they didn't find the house in the portal. You know, maybe they're looking at their portal, but they're still also looking at Zillow and Redfin, and they see something on Zillow that's the house and they have to see it. What's the next thing that you do as their buyer's agent?
See if it's contingent on anything.
Yeah, make sure if it's available to see, right? And so what do?
Contact the selling agent.
You can contact, yeah, absolutely. And I think even before that, find it in MLS, because if they found it on Zillow, you look for it in Northstar. Go to Northstar, find the house, because that's where you're going to find the agent remarks. You're going to see if there's a contingent offer. You're going to see the showing instructions, all of that. Because like I said, there's information on Zillow and all of those national websites that they can't see. So before they get their hopes up and they're ready to jump in the car, make sure that you have found it in MLS. What if you didn't find it in MLS? What if you didn't find that property in Northstar? What does that possibly mean?
Sale by owner.
Yeah, right. So now you just put the address in the search bar, right? And see what comes up. See where they found it, where it's listed. And then you may end up calling the seller instead of the listing agent. So just make sure that you are looking at all of the scenarios surrounding their excitement, because they're obviously excited about this house. It happens all the time, you guys. So this is not like an obscure example that I'm telling you. This is me encouraging you to do your due diligence and to follow through to make sure that you're showing and setting appointments on houses with properties that are actually on the market and for sale. Let's see. The other thing is, okay, so here's another one. Number 2 on page 14, compare the features of the home with your buyer's wish lists and their must-haves sheet. So, okay, let's just say we found it in MLS. It doesn't have an offer. It is available for sale. It's active. You see the showing instructions. It's really easy to show. But maybe on your buyer's list of must-haves, like a non-negotiable, and I just had this situation just earlier this summer where they had to have a master bath, an ensuite master bath. It had to have a separate shower and a tub. Not all homes in upper price ranges have both. Many homes just have a shower. Many homes just have a bath, even in the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 range in a master bath. So they're all excited about this house, but they didn't notice that the master bathroom doesn't have a separate shower and tub. And they told you that that's a deal killer. That's like non-negotiable. So do you want to waste your time setting up the showing and showing this house without checking that first? No, you don't. Maybe they want to see it anyway. Maybe they've changed their minds. Maybe there could be other things that have overshadowed. Maybe this house, didn't have a separate bath and shower, but it had 2 acres. This privacy. They may have told you that it was a non-negotiable, but buyers don't always tell you the truth, right? I mean, not that they lie to you, it's just that they have an idea in the beginning, but in the process, they change their mind. So you want to be the expert to say, okay, I would love to show you this house, and actually it is available to see, but I just want to point out, did you notice there's not a separate shower and bathtub in the master bath? And they might say to you, oh my gosh, no, I didn't even notice it. I couldn't even tell that in the picture. No, we don't want to see it. Or they might want to say, yeah, we knew that, we saw that, but it has this killer 2-acre backyard. And so great, we'll go look at it. And you might end up writing an offer. But so many times, I've done it enough times, I've made the mistake that I didn't point it out before I set up the showing, and it ended up being a waste of all of our time. Because we get to the master bath, and it's like, oh, they were all excited. They saw the rest of the house, and you get there, and it's like, oh, but it doesn't have, and it's like, you kind of feel like, oh gosh, I should have been the one to notice that, and I didn't. So just a tip.
You can always remodel it too. I mean, if it's an opportunity to remodel it, be like, hey, I know really good contractors or people too that could definitely come look at it and give you a quote or a rough estimate, or if that's something you really are passionate about.
Yep, that would be a great way to turn it into a positive, for sure. Yeah, thinking on your feet. That's a great answer. Okay. Any other comments on that? We're going to keep moving here. Okay, page 15. So since we're not in person and we're not really able to pair up, I'm going to log into my MLS, and we're going to do an example of just how many of you have had the experience of setting up a portal for your buyers or sellers?
I have.
Most. Tyler, you have as well?
Yep.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Negative.
So some of you have not. So I'm thinking this will be helpful for you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a minute, and I'm going to hop into my MLS, and then we're going to do this exercise together. I think it's going to be the most helpful way for me to just share this with you. Okay, thanks for being patient, you guys. Okay, can you all see this? So logged into North Star, do a general search. So here on the left-hand side, you get to choose your status for setting up a search for your buyers. I always choose coming soon and active so that anything that fits their search criteria that becomes a coming soon before it goes active, they know about it and I know about it so that we can be, so what happens, you know, when a coming soon listing hits the MLS, it gives buyers the opportunity to be one of the first ones to set up a showing to look at it. Over the summer, I was working with a couple of buyers up in the Minneapolis market. And I mean, you think that our market here in Rochester or Austin area is a fast moving market. That market up in the Twin Cities is like on fire, like 5 times quicker. So even by choosing coming soon, properties as soon as they become coming soon, agents set up showings, and it's difficult to get a showing that very first day or even the second day. So unless you're like watching really, really closely, and this can happen here and it can happen anytime, I think our spring market this coming year is going to be absolutely crazy. So this might be something that's going to be helpful for you. Make sure when you're setting up a search criteria in a portal, choose coming soon so that you and your buyers can be one of the first people to set up a showing when you're actually able to show it. Does that make sense, everybody? All right, we're just gonna choose Rochester just because there are more listings, more options for us to kind of narrow down our search. So what's a hot price point right now, you guys?
100 to 250.
Okay. Yep, I would say even up to 300. We'll do a search 100 to 300,000. We're going to do those of you who, if you haven't set up search before, make sure that, you know, okay, you want at least 3 bedrooms, make sure you put the plus sign behind it. Otherwise, it's only going to give you only 3 bedrooms. It's not going to give you 2, it's not going to give you 4 or 5. It'll only show 3. The same with bathrooms. If 3 or 2 is your minimum, make sure that you have a plus sign behind it. We're just going to go with a 1-car garage. So in Rochester right now, we have 60 to choose from. We're gonna look at single family homes. That narrowed it down a little. So 55. So we have one coming soon. Berkman Court is a coming soon at 185. So there are two specific columns when you pull up a thumbnail version like this, the thumbnail view. You want to look at the status, and the next place my eye always goes to is contingency. Is there a contingency? Because of these 55 listings, how many are contingent? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, on the first page, there are 9. Out of 25, there are 9 that are contingent already.
How do you see that it says contingent?
What did you say?
How do you see it says contingent?
So if you look at, do you see where my cursor is?
Yeah.
Where did it go? I'm sorry. Here. So you see that it's active, right, on this listing on 18.5 Street. Right under the price is contingency.
Oh, okay,
There's
cool.
either a Y or an N. So yes is contingency. Be careful with that though, because it doesn't say inspection, right? It just says, yes, there's a contingency. Well, if it's an inspection, this one happens to be contingent because I clicked on it. You can see it's contingent on inspection. But what if it was contingent on sale of another property? Could you still go see it? And do you think your buyer would want to look at it? Because what does that mean?
It could not get an offer.
Say that again, Nick, I didn't quite hear you.
It could not get an offer, or it wouldn't be accepted, right? Or the inspection isn't, they don't want to make an offer.
So when a property is contingent on inspection, it's an accepted offer, right? And they're going through the contingency period of having the inspection report, agreeing on whatever they're going to agree on. But if this was contingent on the sale of another property, what would happen if you set up a showing, brought your buyer through, they actually really liked it? Is it an option for them?
Yes, they would have a chance to remove the contingency, and the person with the contingency would have a chance to remove it. If not, the new offer would be valid. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did. Right. So we call it bumping an offer. So yeah, the sellers would have an accepted offer. However, there's a contingency in the paperwork in the purchase agreement that says that the buyer whose offer the seller has accepted, they have a certain amount of days in which to remove that contingency if they receive another offer. So let's just say your buyer really liked it, you write an offer, you don't necessarily know what the days are until you ask the listing agent, and hopefully they would share that with you. But if those first buyers who had the contingent offer on the sale of their property, they weren't able to sell their property and they weren't able to remove that contingency, now your buyers are next in line. Does that make sense? So you don't want to pass up necessarily a property that has a contingency that's sale of another property, because if your buyers really like it, you can bump that offer. So there's a difference. So just by looking at your thumbnail display and you're seeing all of these contingencies, these Ys, these yeses for contingency, doesn't necessarily mean that they're entirely ruled out. It might be that, and you're not going to know until you click into it, look at it. So again, go that extra mile, do the work for your buyers, make sure that you know what all the statuses are of the properties that fall into their search criteria, because there might be an opportunity for them. Does that make sense? Okay, so now we have all of our listings. I don't glean out the properties that have contingencies for that reason, but also what can happen. Maybe today there's a contingency, an inspection contingency. Does that necessarily mean it's a done deal? No, it doesn't, because things can happen in the inspection contingency period. Sometimes buyers just flat out change their mind during that time period. And can they do that during the inspection contingency period? Can a buyer just change their mind and it has nothing to do with an inspection?
Yep. Any reason.
Any reason, exactly. So keeping these properties in their portal just so that they can keep an eye on them is an okay thing. However, when you're setting up their portal, make sure that you clarify what these contingencies mean, what it means to them, right? Okay, so we have our search, we have 55 properties that came up. Our next step then is, yes, we want to save this search. So we also want to set up auto emails for them, right? So that they will receive any updates, new updates to status, new listings, any changes to these properties. So you see here down at the bottom, you click on save, then you click on new auto email, and it brings you to this screen where now you get to choose the contact if you have them in your system. If you don't, you're going to have to create a new contact. Everybody see that? So if you're creating a new contact, you have the option, obviously, to put their name in. I'll just set myself up. Maybe I'll do my husband. And you get to choose your salutation. So they could potentially be getting emails from you automatically, right? Every single day. So, you kind of want to make it sound like you. I don't usually address my emails, dear so-and-so. I'm more of a hi or a hey. So here you have the opportunity you can even enter your own custom way that you want to address them. Hi there. Something like that. Then you save that once you have it set up the way you want to. And here's your subject line. So when I'm working with buyers, I usually do in the subject line something that's going to be recognizable to them, like updated listings or townhouse listings or outlying area. Can you have more than one search set up for your buyers? Yes or no? More than one portal? Yes, you absolutely can. So sometimes I have buyers who, yeah, they want to buy, let's say in Rochester, but they're also open to some of the outlying areas. Like, yeah, they would consider Stewartville, Byron, maybe Casson. So with those buyers, I would set up a search right in Rochester, and then I do an outlying search as well. So then you might want to make that determination in your subject line. Updated listings or market watch, that's another great subject line. And then it just says, welcome to the portal, and you have the opportunity. You can make this say whatever you want to. This is not set in stone. This is template. And if you're okay with it sounding like this, just choose it. Something is better than nothing. And this is going to welcome them. This gives them instructions. I think they have a time frame in which they have to click on this in order for it to stay active. If they don't click on their portal, and I think they have, maybe it's a week or so, maybe it's 2, and they don't click on their portal, it goes away. Like, it just stops. So make sure you let them know that they have to click on it in order to activate it. So there are 2 emails. One is the welcome email explaining the portal. The second one is a recurring email. And this is the one that says, hey, or salutation, hi there. One or more new or updated listings match your search criteria. Or you can say, here's what matches your search criteria today. You can change that, edit it, however you want it to, whatever you want it to say. As you scroll down, you're going to have some options as to how they get this information. You have an opportunity to choose concierge mode, to show in reverse prospecting, enable as a favorite search on your home tab. So if you want to enable concierge mode, you really have to be on your toes, because guess what? You're the concierge. So if you choose that, it means that you get to sift through and send them what you want them to see. I very rarely click that button. I don't want to stand in the way of, maybe I don't see an email and I would have to let it go through in order for them to see it. I want them to get everything. So I very rarely hit that button. I would only choose that if I had a very, very picky buyer who didn't want a lot of things in their inbox and who only wanted very, very specific things. If you have a buyer like that, click that button. Show this contact and reverse prospecting. Who knows what reverse prospecting is? Anybody can explain it? So reverse prospecting is very helpful if you are a listing agent, because when you have a home that's active on the market, you have the opportunity to find out how many agents are working with buyers that have search criteria that your listing falls into. So if you think, okay, it's listing agents who have properties and they can look kind of from the back end, and they can communicate with realtors who have buyers who have search criteria like we're doing set up with that their property falls into. So I get emails all the time because I usually keep this button clicked, show contact and reverse prospecting, because sometimes I may miss, or my buyers may miss, a home that would fit into their search criteria, and other listing agents can contact me and say, hey, I see you have a buyer that this might be a good match for. It's kind of a way for me to know first of all, what listing agents are really working hard for their sellers, right? Because as a listing agent, if their agent is going in and communicating with other agents who have buyers looking for homes like theirs, that says a lot about that agent. Maybe that agent needs to hear about Keller Williams if they're not a Keller Williams agent, right? So now I have a way to reach out to them to say, hey, I see that you're really working hard for your seller. Maybe that house isn't even a consideration for a buyer that I have set up on a search, but it tells me a lot about that listing agent who just sent me an email about reverse prospecting. Maybe I need to talk to them about joining Keller Williams. So I'm just saying, not all of those emails that you get that seem like unnecessary turn out to be unnecessary. So anyway, I keep that box checked. Sometimes I check favorite search in my home tab. That's just for my own benefit. But down here, scheduling. So don't you think that most buyers want to know immediately when something comes on the market or has a status change and it fits in their search criteria? I think yes. I always click ASAP rather than daily or monthly. I don't even know why they do monthly, but maybe if it's a buyer who's looking to buy next year, maybe, I don't know. But I always choose ASAP. That means sometimes my buyers get a new listing or a status change even before I do. Sometimes it goes to them before I even get notified. So once you have all of that chosen, then you click save, and now they're set up with a portal.
So it sends them everything that you have on that list, and then anytime anything happens, it sends it to them.
Correct.
Cool.
So does everybody know what it looks like on the other side to your buyer? So are they going to see this? So this screen right here that we're looking at, when they get their email announcing that they've been set up in a portal, they have to click on it. When they click on it, are they going to see this? No, they do not. So let me show you. Let me see if I can find one here. Let's just do this one. Here's one of my buyers. When he clicks on that link, because I got copied, this is what it looks like. This is what their screen, this is what their portal looks like. Can you all see that? Mm-hmm. So what's the first thing they see? It's a big old map. So this is important for you to know. So I would experiment with this, you guys. Set yourself up with a search. I mean, you need a hot sheet anyway, right? You want to know what's coming new on the market in Austin. You want to know what's coming new on the market in Rochester, whatever market you're watching. Set yourself up for an auto search so that you know what your buyer's going to experience. This is what they're going to see. They see this big old map, and over here they have the opportunity to choose favorites. So if they see something that in my buyer consultation, I encourage my buyers to choose their favorites, because when they choose their favorites, I know what they are, because when I go into their portal, I can click on how many have they chosen as favorites. This buyer of mine right now has 14 favorites. They have 19 possibilities. So what are we going to do? What are we going to look at the next time we go out looking? We're going to start with our favorites, right? And we're going to start here and get through these. This is something that I learned because one of my buyers asked me this question. They said, can I search within my search? And I didn't know the answer to that question, but actually they can. They can start a new search. So they have a lot of capabilities within their portal. They can communicate with us. They can send us messages back and forth. So I can see which ones aren't important. I see that they've discarded one. So anyway, any comments, questions, ahas about this? How is this helpful?
Your messages just go to your email?
Sometimes they do. It depends on yeah, it's a great question. I think you have to be in their portal.
So you gotta always, and then how do you get to their portal? Do you send it?
So you make sure that you click copy. So when you set up their portal, so here's a way that, now I've set it all up, right? And they got the email, the portal's created for them to click on it. Now I can go in and view them by clicking on my matrix. So right here, my matrix, auto emails. This will show how many auto emails I have set up right now. So here they are. And now I just set one up for my husband. So I can click here, updated listings. And now here is where I could potentially change their criteria. What if they decided to expand their price range? Okay, well, I set up the portal. Can I change it? Yes, absolutely. I can go here, my matrix, auto emails, under criteria. Now I have an opportunity to change that. So maybe they don't want to see all the low end. Maybe he doesn't want to see anything that's less than 150, but he wants to expand up to 350. Okay. So I made that change and I'm right in the portal. Now when I scroll down and save it, it's going to notify my buyer that that change was just made. And I have the opportunity to write a description. I revised your search criteria. We are now and you save it. And now an email just got sent to my buyer saying, oh, great, thank you for updating my search criteria.
So what does it look like when someone messages you, I guess? So if you go, do you have to go into one of them?
Yep, you have to go into their portal.
So if you click into the one that you were just in.
Okay, I'll go about it the other way. I can find
Ben, it looks like Ben Orth.
Yes. So here, my matrix, auto emails, right? Here he is. I click on that. I open in portal right here. And this is where it comes up. So no, I'm really glad I opened this. He's been on hold. He's been waiting for a refinance of the home that he lives in. And oh, I guess these are from before. These are, yeah, in August when we were looking. But yeah, so, and I didn't get notices. These, you only see messages if you log into the portal.
Gotcha. So you just gotta be diligent about checking that out all the
You
time.
do. Yep.
Well, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions or comments about this?
I actually just set up one of my buyers on this yesterday, and before we had kind of just been using like text message, and this is just like so much easier. She can literally click a button. I can see you like it, you don't like it, you're not sure, like it just can, I feel like it values their time too, both of your time. You're not having to spend so much back and forth time. She can just click a button and or type something in, and I can see how she's feeling.
Yep, exactly. It's a game changer. I mean, I find this system really easy for me to set up and manage, and it's such helpful information that I can be the expert and speak to the changes and the things that are occurring in the market by using this. I don't think you should ever be working with a buyer and not have them set up on a portal. So, okay, awesome.
Can I just point something out here just because I'm messing around with it?
Yep.
So if you go back to North Star and you click My Matrix and you go all the way down to settings, it'll bring up a bunch of stuff. You can go down to the very bottom and it's portal notification settings.
Oh.
And you can set it up to email you or text you when any of these like 10 events happen. Yeah. And it's like,
oh, wow.
heart something, visits the portal, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like that. You're the man, dude.
I didn't even know that was there, Chris. Thank you.
I didn't either, but I figured, I mean, you'd think there'd have to be a way so you didn't have to log in. So I think if you update that, it'll notify you.
Got it. So
I'm guessing it's like adds notes. That's probably what they're doing when they're doing messages or something. So, but.
Okay, but I don't see
big
messages
moves
here. So you can be notified when they visit the first time, when they save a search. It doesn't say anything about messaging though.
I think, if they message.
Notes.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Adds note probably because you're doing.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that, Chris. That's really helpful.
For sure.
Okay, so qualifying properties. We learned that the portal is the way to do that. So I think when we're showing homes, and I find when I'm walking through properties with my buyers, a lot of things happen during that time. We're meeting with them to talk about the buyer process and we're signing paperwork. But now when we're actually getting into homes, I think is when we learn the most, because we should always be listening to what they're saying. We should be reading body language. We should be listening to their words. And I tell my buyers in my buyer consult, I want you to talk when we're in properties. Please talk to me. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. And I'm very upfront and clear with them to say, my job is to look at things like, how old is the roof? How old is the furnace? How do the windows look? How old is the AC? I usually pay more attention to the big 6 things that cost a lot of money, and I rely on them to figure out whether this house is a house that they're going to be able to live in or not. So when we walk in, I tell them, pay attention to how the rooms are set up, traffic patterns. Can you picture yourself living here? So that they're having those conversations with each other, so that I can be paying attention to age of windows, things like that. And then asking them to please take notes. So I know that we rely so much on our phones and our laptops to get information. I'm a little old school when it comes to actually showing properties. I like to print off MLS sheets. I keep a copy, I give them a copy. I usually put it in a folder and I ask them to take notes, because it's less distracting for them to just look at a sheet of paper and say, oh, that's right, this house has 2,500 square feet. Whereas if they're like, how big is this house again? And they're pulling out their phone and they're scrolling through, it's just easier to have that paper to say, because everything is right in front of them. And now they can be taking notes like, maybe there's no dishwasher in that house, or the backyard is a fenced backyard. So making notes like that is really helpful for them, but they don't always do that naturally themselves. We have to instruct them, please take some notes. And as a matter of fact, when you hand it to them, when you're in the house, this would be something really great for you to write on your sheet, that this house, the living room has really outdated carpet. Because if we're showing them 4 or 5 houses at a time, they all tend to run together. They're going to be really thankful that you instructed them to take notes, because they're going to refer back to those notes. Trust me, they will. Unless it's the first house that we look at and they end up writing an offer. If we show them more than one, they want to have taken notes, because they're going to note things that are more important to them than I know that's important to them. Sometimes I work with buyers who are here for a short amount of time, and we have to pack a lot of houses in one day. However, I set a limit of 5. I will not show a buyer more than 5 houses at a time, because it's exhausting for them and for me, and they all start to run together. It's hard for them to differentiate the details, because sometimes it comes down to the details for them choosing the house that they're going to write an offer on. The other really important thing is that when I print off the MLS sheets and I hand it to them, I let them know that at the end of the day, when we're done looking at houses, I'm going to ask them to rank them. What was your favorite? What was number 1? What was number 2? What was number 3? What was your least favorite? Because if we end up going out several times, the 1s are going to rise to the top. The 4s and the 5s are going to fall off, and we don't have to waste any more time thinking about those properties. If they're a 4 the first day we look, the chances of them ever rising to a 1 is pretty slim, unless we're in a market where everything is selling so quickly that they end up with a 4. Turn to page 21. This is a really important differentiator. Benefits and features. So before I taught this session, I never really thought about this in this way. When we have listings and we're looking at all the features of a house, or when we're working with buyers, and the feature of this house is it has a big yard, for instance. This is the example on page 21. But what's the benefit of that to the buyer? So speaking in terms of, maybe it does have a big kitchen or a big backyard, but talking in terms of how is that beneficial to your family? I think by talking in those terms, it does a couple of things. It helps them to really think through their priorities, because maybe a feature, for example, maybe a feature that they thought was really going to be a benefit to their family, after we look at a few houses that has that feature and we talk about it in terms of how is this going to benefit your family, maybe it's no longer a feature that is really important to them. But we don't know that, and they don't know that unless we take them through the process of really talking through that. Does that make sense to you guys? Because what we're really doing, as I said from the very beginning, we're finding these people a home. It's the place where they're going to be making memories. I love this quote from Mo Anderson, where there is no passion, there is no vision. And if we're not passionate about this process that we're taking these buyers through, they're not going to have a whole lot of confidence in us, and we're not going to be very believable. So just thinking about things like the difference between a feature and a benefit shows them that we're really listening, we're really paying attention to them, and we're just as passionate about finding the right home for them as they are finding the right home for them. Does that make sense? So the whole idea is bringing our buyers to a decision. You know, there may be, like the search that we did, there were 55 homes. Well, our buyer isn't going to buy 55 homes, right? Our buyer probably isn't going to buy 2 homes unless they're an investor. So our job is to be helping them to narrow it down to what is the one home. In my experience, it's easier with some buyers than it is with others. Some buyers have a difficult time making decisions. So my advice to you is to figure that out really quickly, sooner than later, if they're people who have a hard time making a decision. If they don't make decisions easily, this process of finding them a home could take a long time. So we're going to watch a little video here. If I can find it. Here we are. Okay. It's not very long. Can you all hear it?
Hi, my name is Sean Healy, and today I'm going to teach you how to create buyer urgency through the showing process. And the first step is setting expectations. We tell buyers that it is a seller's market, and what that means is the best homes go fast. The next area that we set expectations in is multiple offers. We tell our buyers there's going to be a lot of other buyers out there, and you may find yourself in a competitive situation. The third area that we set expectations on is condition. Many of the homes that they're going into are going to be move-in ready, but they need a little bit of work. The next step in the process we call the funnel. And essentially, we're trying to take the entire MLS and funnel it down so that at the end of the day, there can be only one house that kicks out the bottom. What I'd like you to do tonight, pick out the best 10 or 15 homes, and then tomorrow drive by those homes and check them out. I want you to pick out the best 3 or 4, and we'll go out and take a look at those homes. Next part is the actual showing process. We show the first house. You'll ask the buyer on a scale of 1 to 7, leaving out the 4, 7 being perfect, and there is no perfect home, and 1 being unlivable, where would you rate this home? Inevitably, the buyer will answer it's a 5. And the reason they give you a 5 is because they don't have anything else to compare it to on the very first home that they've gone to see. Then what you want to do is try and reinforce what's making it a 5 for you. And the next question you asked said, what are some of the things that you would do to move it more towards a 7 if you were to purchase it? You go on to the next house. Now you ask an alternative of choice question. Pretend you had to buy one of these two houses today. Which one would it be? The last one we saw or this one? They liked the first one better. Perfect. Go to the third house. The third house, you do the same thing. You say, all right, Gary, pretend there's only 2 homes on the market and you have to buy one today. Which one is it? The first one we saw or this one? And they say, this one. And you repeat that process over and over until you get to the last house. And at the end of the day, you say, well, it looks like 123 Main Street was your favorite house. So right there from the house, we call the listing agent, find out if the home is still available. Let's go back to the office and get this property written up before somebody else gets it. My biggest aha out of this came when I was out with one of my first-time buyer families, and we drove up to the first house, and my buyer said, I don't even want to go in that one. What he ended up telling me at the end of that trip was, Sean, what I want you to do is print me out a list of every home that matches my criteria. I'm going to drive by those homes, and I'll tell you which ones I want to see. Aha! Hey, thanks for watching KW Connect, and make it a great day.
Brilliant, right? I mean, because it's all about location, 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 right? So tell me what some of your ahas were.
Yeah, having the buyers make their own decision by asking them the questions. You're not telling them, you're asking questions. So sales psychology. So they're selling themselves.
Yeah. But do all buyers think about doing that though? You know, it just so happened in the video, this example, it was the buyer who told the agent that that's what he was going to do, right? But what if that came from us, right? What if we were the ones to say, hey, you saw your list, you know, here it is, drive by, let me know if you want to see it. I mean, you'll learn pretty quickly working with your buyers if they're going to be taking a lot of time by looking at every single, setting up showings and looking at every single house. If you have buyers like that, you need to guide them to do this, because after you show them 1 or 2 or 3 houses, you're going to quickly learn what's really important to them. If neighborhood, for instance, is really important to them because of the comments that they're sharing with you, this is a great way to guide them. Hey, here's a list of 3 houses that are potentially houses that you could buy. Why don't you drive by them and let me know what you think of the neighborhood? You know, I think it's a brilliant idea. We're gonna take a look at this on page 30, some objections. So sometimes we have buyers who have some objections, and yeah, here's some really good ones on page 27 and 28. So, oh, here's a really good point at the top of page 27. When you're showing homes to your buyers and you go out for a day, maybe you show them 3 or 4 houses, and you just know that they don't want to write an offer on them. Before you part ways, it used to be that we rode together all the time, right? Now we drive separately and we're not in the same car, so we don't have the luxury of that time of talking and getting to know one another. But before you part ways, always set the next appointment. So I always ask my buyers, so the next time we go look at homes, what does your schedule look like for the next week? what are the best days for you to go and look at houses again? Basically they know their calendar, they know their schedule, so they have it on their phone, so that you don't part ways and don't set your next appointment. It's very important to keep the train going down the track, to keep this moving, because if a week passes or more when you haven't met with them or they haven't been looking at houses, the experience isn't fresh anymore, and they tend to forget what they've already seen, because it's an education process, right? We're educating them about the market, about the homes, what they can expect. So don't ever leave without setting your next appointment. So what if you have a buyer who is just a little bit reluctant? On the top of page 28. So, they're afraid that they're going to write an offer and the price drops. Well, is that very feasible in this seller's market? That the price is going to drop? No, probably not. So, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, are you most concerned about the price of the home or the monthly payment on the mortgage? Because that's probably what's on the top of their mind. Or they say, we want to sleep on it. You're right. This is a huge decision. However, I have to give you fair warning with as little pressure as possible. If you're ready to write an offer on this home, other buyers may also be ready to write. So just make sure that you're reminding them of the urgency of making a decision. Showing homes. So I think that if you haven't had the experience of showing homes yet, that this is a very important topic to know, primarily, what is etiquette. I would suggest that if you have an opportunity, if you haven't shown homes before, if you have an opportunity to shadow another agent, and any of you are welcome to shadow me at any time, to learn what proper etiquette is for showing homes, I would say that it would be a good use of your time to shadow. From the point of setting up showings, so the first place that we go when our buyer has said, hey, we want to see this house, what's the next thing we do? We make sure that it's already on the market. The next thing, and available to show, the next thing we do is look at the agent remarks in MLS. Agent remarks, not public remarks, agent remarks, because that's what gives us instructions and directions on how to show the house. Sometimes sellers need 2-hour notice, or they need 24-hour notice for showings. It's up to us to make sure that we're following those instructions so that we're not violating any of our MLS rules by asking for showings or doing other things that are outside of the agent remarks. Does that make sense? So, and there's other etiquette that comes into play when we're showing homes, like don't show up more than 2 minutes early, because if we or our buyers are on that property outside of our showing time, we're trespassing. We're trespassing, they're trespassing. Last summer, I worked with some buyers that had 5 kids, and they showed up early. They thought the property was vacant, and they started walking around the yard before I arrived. I showed up on time, and the neighbor was outside. The sellers weren't home. They were gone, but the neighbor next door was outside in the backyard and said something to me because they showed up early. So make sure that you're instructing. We have to be sure to instruct our buyers that don't go walking on a property where we don't have a showing set up, even if you're curious. That's not etiquette. That's outside. We're breaking the rules by doing that. And if we have a showing set up for 30 minutes, we have to stay within that 30 minutes. Because if we're outside of that, we could also be trespassing, and we may be infringing on another agent who has set up a showing right after hours. And if they've only set up a showing for half an hour and we stay 5 or 10 minutes past our showing time, now we've just infringed on their time. So just take into consideration, you have to be very aware. As I said, I am a fan of printing out MLS sheets. When I print them out for myself and I request showings in showing time, I write on my sheet exactly the time that my showings are approved for, that they're confirmed. Because if I'm showing more than 1 or 2, it's hard for me to keep track of the time that I've set. So when I set my showings, I usually overlap them. Ideally, I like to set up showings for an hour period of time and then overlap half an hour. That usually gives me enough drive time, and it gives me enough time if my buyers like to take their time going through the house and talking and doing other things. Some buyers are really quick, some buyers take a long time to get through a house. So if you can overlap, then it gives you enough time to get from one to the next without infringing or trespassing, if that makes sense. So just a little tip on that. So we're just going to do a little recap here. We're almost out of time, and hopefully this has been helpful to you. Hopefully you've been able to pick up some little nuggets along the way, some practical things that will help you. Tell me what some of your ahas have been in some things that you've learned today, some takeaways. I'll let you look at your notes here for a minute.
For me, it was not necessarily setting up the auto email search, but what it looks like and how it appears to my buyers. So I don't know, so I can know. And then also the fact that we figured out some of the notification stuff too.
Yeah, very helpful. Yeah, great. Thanks, Chris, for sharing that.
I like the idea of printing out the MLS when you take a client to the house, because that way they have all the information, all the little questions that they might ask in case they kind of walk off on their own and are looking at stuff, then they have the information there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Melanie.
I like how you said you can overlap showing times. So yesterday I had 4 showings scheduled, and I had them set for an hour, but with the snowstorm we were having, the client wanted to get those shortened up, so I had to reschedule those for half-hour intervals.
Right.
And I was only able to get the second and third ones to be rescheduled. We had to cancel that 4th one because they wouldn't. I had actually gotten an offer on it, so they didn't want to confirm that showing.
Right.
So overlapping those would have kind of fixed that issue ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. So that is a little bit tricky in showing time. It might take a little bit of practice because by default, if you are setting up a showing for a time that you already have a showing scheduled for, by default, it's going to ask you, are you sure that you want to do this? And you just say, yes, I want to. So don't take that question of do you want to continue as a no. It's clearly a question. Are you sure you want to continue? And just say, yep, I do, and just continue with your overlapping. Any of you have questions about that? Great. Anybody else have any ahas?
I liked how you talked about how you said you kind of look for like the big things in the house, like, you know, the furnace, the roof, you know, like the age of the windows, stuff like that. And you kind of instruct them to be looking more like at the traffic patterns and how livable the house would be for them. I think that's valuable.
Yeah, because it can be distracting for them to be paying attention to everything. If you can take something off of their plate that's factual and data, it's not subjective. It is what it is, right? I mean, the roof is 10 years old, or you know, the furnace was original from when it was built in 1999. That's a fact. You're not adding your opinion or your bias. It's a fact. they're the ones who are evaluating the home as you're walking through it to determine whether they can truly live there or not. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. And along those lines, one other thing I wanted to share with you, when I'm in my buyer consultation with my buyers, I explain to them that very, very rarely does a buyer find a home that's 100% exactly what they're looking for. That usually only happens on HGTV, right? That's not real life. But what is a reasonable expectation is 80%. We're looking for a home that's 80% of what fits their criteria. 10% is 10% they can live with, and 10% is things that they can change. So that helps them kind of put this into perspective that, oh, it changes their mindset from, it has to be the perfect 100% home to, oh, okay, well, I guess entering into this process, we're looking for 80%. Yeah, 10% seems reasonable that we can live with. And 10% seems reasonable that down the road, maybe we want to change out the countertops, or it doesn't have stainless steel appliances, but we can always change that out. So that's just another little helpful hint that helps those buyers who maybe really picky or have really, really high expectations to kind of just take that down just a little bit. So awesome. Well, good job, you guys. I hope you are all feeling like Ignite has been a really great experience for you. And it's great that you have the opportunity to listen to a variety of us teachers who are sharing our experiences, because I think you'll gain a lot from that rather than just having one instructor all the time. So with that, anybody have any questions? Anything that maybe I didn't cover, maybe you came into this wondering about that we didn't cover today?
I don't really have a question per se on that, but I do have this question for you.
Yeah.
You made the comment that you would let us shadow you, and I have been trying to shadow agents for the last 4 months.
Sure.
Just to get ideas of the way people do things.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's an open house or if it's a showing or a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, but if you
Sure.
ever have an opportunity, I would love to shadow you on just anything, just to get more information.
Absolutely. The next time I set up an appointment, Melanie, I'll reach out to you.
I would really appreciate it. That would be so awesome.
Yeah. Do you live here in Rochester?
I do.
Okay, perfect. That sounds great.
Thank you so much.
Stop by and say hi sometime. We're our office is back in the corner. So
okay.
Stop by.
Awesome.
Great. Well, with that, thank you all so much for participating and listening. And you're going to be rock stars. You guys are going to do a great job of getting your clients and your buyers under contract and getting listings as well. So good job. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks so much.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.